What's up, everybody? I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be doing my post-fight show of UFC Fight Night 272, Moicano versus Duncan. I will say right off the bat, I didn't have much expectations for this card. I mean, I looked at it like there were some gems on this card, but I wasn't expecting much. Maybe an all right fight night, some fun finishes, but overall, I was not expecting much. I was thoroughly surprised. This turned out to be an absolutely great fight night. Now, I'm not saying that like all fight nights like this will be similarly entertaining. I still want the UFC to try, and I still want them to put on better quality fight nights. Don't get me wrong, but for what we got, I was thoroughly entertained. There may be in one or two fights that was like, not really interesting. I mean, that co-main event wasn't particularly exciting, but every other fight mostly, yeah, no, I was entertained thoroughly. There were some great finishes, absolutely amazing finishes, some great performances. Overall, I give this for like an Apex card, like a 9 out of 10, honestly. Hell, I could see a 10 out of 10 if the co-main event was a bit more exciting. In terms of predictions, I didn't do as good as I did last week. This time I got 8 out of 5, which now brings the total up to, if I can see real quick, 88 and 40. So, 88 correct, 40 wrong in terms of predictions, but still overall pretty good. We're still getting more right than wrong at the end of the day, and that's what I find matters to me mostly. But without further ado, let's get down to the post-fight show. So, starting up, our first fight. Kai Kamaka defeated Dakota Hope via split decision. I kind of agree. I can understand why some people thought Dakota Hope should have won. The way the fight played out is for the first round and the first half of round 2, I thought it was Dakota Hope's fight. His style is very explosive. He seemingly just fires at 100% power every single time. There's no seemingly feeling out process for Hope. He doesn't really do range finders, right? He doesn't try and find his range, no leg kicks, set up his strikes. He's just going after you 100% power all the time. And while that seemingly was working, right, he hurt Kai Kamaka quite a few times. Seemingly was about to get him out of there in round 1. Eventually, that style, especially for these two who are fighting on a week's notice. Literally, this fight was like put together on like Monday. It's understandable that that style for Dakota Hope just would not sustain itself. And by the second half of round 2 and all the way to round 3, Dakota Hope was tired. And Kai Kamaka, he was playing it safe. He's the busier striker of the two. Calf kicks, teeps to the body, persistent jab, and then clinch strikes. Kai Kamaka, while he didn't have as much power as Dakota Hope or was throwing with much power, he still had some damaging shots, specifically one elbow in the clinch that cut Dakota Hope. I believe it was right here. Here you could see the cut kind of bled into the face. And so when the scorecards were read, I was a little nervous, but I still thought Kai Kamaka edged out. I thought basically whoever won round 2 won the fight. So for me, I thought Kai Kamaka finished round 2 strong and then won the third round. So though, definitely a 2-for-0 decision. And if it went to Dakota Hope, I would have probably understood it because he did have some of the bigger moments in the fight, but just not sustained moments, if you know what I mean. Still, though, for a week's notice, this was a good fight. I don't have much ceiling. I don't think either one of these is going to have a particularly high ceiling. Now, for Kai Kamaka and Dakota Hope, they'll probably go back down to featherweight. That's where they fight at their weight classes. Or they might stay at lightweight. I don't know. But, boy, featherweight, such a shark tank of a division. It's hard to say who they're going to matchmake with. Excuse me. Say for Kai Kamaka, I mean, there's some options at featherweight for him. I mean, it's so hard because it's such a town-stacked division. But maybe Yadir Divala might make sense, For Dakota Hope, someone who can match his explosiveness, I think would be an interesting test for him, for sure. Maybe the loser of Jordan Levitt, Joannison Brito, or maybe Robert Rucella might make sense. Moving up on the card. Diana Barbosa defeats Melissa Gatto via majority decision. 128-28, then 29-27. I honestly agree. 29-27 makes sense. This was a weird fight, though. In round 1, I mean, seemed Barbosa was the better striker of the two, better grappler. And I think overall, what won Diana Barbosa the fight was she was simply the busier fighter. Even when Gatto was able to reverse positions, which I thought was pretty impressive, Barbosa simply was doing more, right? She was hunting for arm bars, trapping Gatto in not just in the armbar positions, but triangles, firing off hammer fists from the bottom. Barbosa was just outworking her even in bottom position. Round two was weird. So Gatto goes for a takedown. Barbosa hits a switch before they hit the ground, and it was a beautiful switch too. Then she posts Gatto off of her, stands up, and then goes for a soccer kick as Gatto's trying to get up. But you look on the replay, Melissa Gatto's knee is down, and so she gets hit. The soccer kick, it basically hit the chest plate area, or breastplate, however you want to call it. Basically that spot between the shoulder and the neck. And you could see the kick somewhat slide up to her chin. And at first it seemed like wasn't too effective, and then a second later, Gatto falls down. And I'm having flashbacks to Macy Barber getting chinned by Alexa Grasso. And then after the 5 minutes, she seemingly is fine, and then continues on the fight, which does not make a lick of sense to me. Like, do these athletic commissions not care about the fighter's safety? I mean, really, if Melissa Gatto is acting like she got knocked out and seemingly what she was, and then comes to even after 5 minutes, how is she still able to fight? Or I take it, or let me rephrase it, how is the athletic commission still letting her fight? I mean, I'm glad the ref took a point, don't get me wrong, and even with the point deduction, I still gave Barbosa the round. I thought I don't know why the fight was able to continue. And I kind of thought it should have been 2 points. I know that's greedy to say. It's nice to see refs actually take a point, don't get me wrong. But, I don't know, legally soccer kicking down an opponent, that should be 2 points, or that should be 2 points in my opinion. Still, at the end of the day, the right woman won, and it was Diana Barbosa. I gotta be honest, I don't know who the hell she fights. Because in the women's flyweight division, there's only about 30 or so fighters, so half of them are in the top 15. So, I don't know, it might be another top 15 crack for Diana Barbosa, either fighting Eduardo Mora, the winner of J.J. Aldridge and Jamie Lee Horf, somebody along those lines. As for Melissa Gatto, woof, sorry. I think there's some options for her, I guess. I mean, I would say Gabriela Fernandez is coming off a loss, but she's number 15. That wouldn't make any sense. And I don't know, maybe a Tainara Lisboa could make sense. I mean, someone along those lines. Someone who's coming off a loss, probably. So, though, at the end of the day, it was a good win for Diana Barbosa for sure. Moving up on the card. Tresean Gore defeats Azamat Bakoyev via third-round submission, guillotine choke. Boy, it seems every time Tresean Gore wins, it has to be via the gilly. Did it to Josh Frem, did it to Antonio Trocoli, and then now Azamat Bakoyev. I will say, this fight kind of played out how I thought it would, right? Both guys would kind of come after each other like bulls, and one of them was going to lose. One of them was going to lose the exchanges. And for the most part, it kind of looked like it was Bakoyev. It looked like it was Gore who was losing the exchanges. Now, round one, Gore actually had some good technical striking to him. Those calf kicks in particular were chewing up the legs, or the lead leg of Bakoyev. But even then, I thought Bakoyev had somewhat of the better striking moments, specifically those overhand rights he was landing. Those switch kicks to the body were particularly the best strikes I think he threw. Then round two, they both exchanged right hands, and it seems like Bakoyev got the better of it and hurt Tresean Gore badly. Sorry. It's been a long night. I apologize. Anyway, as I said, it looked like Bakoyev won the better of the exchanges, and he hurt Tresean Gore badly in round two. It looked like he was going to get him out of there, but Tresean Gore, credit to him, he's tough as nails, had his whiff to him, and I guess you got to remember, it took Marco Tulio quite a bit to take Tresean Gore out of there. So I guess it made sense that Bakoyev was going to have an easy time getting him out of there either. Then round three hits, and it looks like, Tresean Gore goes for a takedown. Bakoyev kind of scrambles, and after exploding out of an arm triangle setup, he goes for a takedown, and Tresean Gore gets the arm in guillotine from a seated position. Well, technically he has one knee down, one knee standing, and then gets the gilly and chokes Bakoyev to sleep. I mean, that is so impressive by Tresean Gore because honestly, I read him off in this fight. I think a majority of people did. I think this was like a parlay buster because while Tresean Gore has shown glimpses of really good talent before, especially on the Ultimate Fighter, he had never really beaten someone of Bakoyev's level before. I mean, think of it, right? His two UFC wins are against probably the worst middleweights ever in Josh Frem and Trokali. And so being someone like Bakoyev is quite impressive, being someone who has way, way more fights than him. For one, I mean, Bakoyev has 15 more fights than Gore. So the fact that he beat someone with such a much higher resume in MMA, and by that I mean totality, not quality, is quite impressive. I gotta say, though, that Tresean Gore Gilly, man, that is his signature weapon. It seems it doesn't matter if he's like flipping Josh Frem and looking to pop that head off, or the, like I said, Armin style guillotine. He's just very good at it. He's tough. He seemingly is getting better, and that is good for Tresean Gore. Who do they fight next? I mean, do we feed Tresean Gore to the wolves? That's the question, right? Do we give him someone who's definitely of maybe a higher level? I don't know, but I think maybe, I mean, Daniel Pinas would be a great fight, right? Pinas, I think, probably would knock out Tresean Gore out just because he's such a more technical striker, but I'd be interested to see it, right? That'd be a really good fight. As for Bakoyev, I mean, he could fight a Wes Schultz, maybe, or Mansour Abdul Malik. There's some options. Although I will say his stock has definitely taken a dive. And I remember when this guy was pretty popular just for some of his funniest stuff on Twitter. So, though, that's just the game we play. Moving up on the card. Boy. Alice Pereira knocks out Haley Cronin in round number 2. This was almost as vicious as Alexa Grasso's finish. The only difference is the level of which this was. So, though, I would say this was a much better fight than I anticipated. Still, though, both of these women do so many things that like drive me crazy. Still, Alice Pereira, I guess at the end of the day, it was the upside of Alice Pereira that won the day because she's still only 20, she's still improving, and she looked better, right? She was more aggressive in this fight, was better at defending the takedowns, better at fighting to get back to her feet. Though, Alice Pereira does some stuff that kind of drives me crazy, right? When she throws, you see her wrist isn't really that straight. She doesn't turn with the punches. She kind of throws like this, and the flimsiness of the wrist, the way she kind of swings it, dude, you're going to break your wrist like that one day. Hey, and that will happen. And so that kind of stuff drives me a bit crazy. But at the end of the day, she got the vicious knockout out. It was a beautiful setup, too. So in round 2, Cronin, after getting pieced up on round 1, like she was getting picked apart, kind of like what I thought, but I thought she could grit it out and go for the takedowns. She eventually did. She gets the power double, scoops up and dumps Pereira on her back. Has some work on top, but doesn't really do a lot with it. But eventually, Pereira is able to get back to her feet, fire off a 1-2, and then throws a knee that clashes right to the chin of Haley Cronin, knocking her out like that. Again, it was just as bad as the Macy Barber one, because just in terms of, like, you see a lifeless body, basically. She caught a body in that one. And then went for the super necessary ground and pound. Super necessary. Okay, but, so, I mean, some would call it a flying knee. I wouldn't call it that just because you don't see Pereira's legs lift from the ground. You don't actually see her visibly jump. It's just she's so tall, or sorry, she's much taller than Haley Cronin in that she was able to basically lift her knee up, especially with Cronin going down, changing her level for a takedown. It just, the forces collide, and it was the perfect setup. At the end of the day, she got the 100K bonus, and absolutely great performance by Alice Pereira. Absolutely phenomenal performance. I still don't think she's going to beat anybody good, not for now. But then again, she is 20. I have to remember this. She has, I mean, the world is her oyster in terms of improvement. She has all the time in the world to improve. And considering this is women's bantamweight, where you can be in your late 30s to 40s and still have success, you know, she has plenty of time to improve and get better. So I think you got to move it slowly with Haley Cronin, right? I think if Melissa Mullins, Melissa Mullins is fighting Bia Mesquita, I think she's going to get destroyed. After that fight, I think Alice Pereira versus Melissa Mullins makes sense. You know, give her another, like, pressure grappler, but one who's definitely better than Haley Cronin, I think. For Haley Cronin, I think it's, like, time for the walking papers. She's winless in the UFC. Her one Contender Series fight, she could have lost that one. She's just not UFC level. It's the same, but she's just not. That's what I think. So, though, at the end of the day, great knockout. That's all I can say. Alice Burr made me eat my words. That's how I can say it. Move up on the card. Darius Flowers defeats Lando Venata via TKO of round number 2. So, for almost all of round 1, Lando Venata was looking very good. I'm not a big fan of those hands down by the waist, just moving around style. Not my favorite, just because, it leaves yourself open so badly. But still, Lando Venata was making it work, right? He was striking from distance pretty well, landing good leg kicks. His wrestling was the biggest factor in round 1. He was taking down Darius Flowers multiple times. And while Flowers was doing pretty good off his back, either attacking with submissions, trying to scramble out, Venata simply was doing pretty well. He was flowing with the positions. He was able to keep Flowers on bottom for various moments. Even now, I thought Flowers did some interesting stuff, like he tried to go for the omoplata at one point. But overall, I thought Darius Flowers was doing a good job. I thought he was winning on the feet and just winning via the wrestling. But then around, I think, the last 30 seconds of round 1, Flowers goes for his own takedown. You see Venata try and get a guillotine. And so Flowers picks him up, slams him, and then immediately, and I mean immediately, you could see just pain on on Lando Venata's face, like you could see visible pain. And the only thing that could have happened was when Flowers slammed him, Lando Venata broke a rib or a rib dislocated. Something like that had to happen because you could see the immediate pain on his face. And that's not from getting the wind knocked out of you. That is from something breaking or dislocating. Because I've had the wind knocked out of me before. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. Now, obviously, this is completely different what I'm talking about, right? I'm fighting in comparison to you falling or something. Different levels. But the way he reacted to it, it's just clear something messed up. And then in round 2, you could see in Lando Venata, you could see, I think it was the right side, a rib hat was popping out. You could see something visibly popping out of the skin on his rib side. It was not pretty to see. But I give credit. Lando Venata came out of round 2, tried his best. I mean, obviously, he had to change the style up a bit, right? Attack from distance. He went for a bit of a takedown, but Flowers, granted, it was annoying. I saw him grab the shorts to avoid the takedown, but, is what it is, unfortunately. But Flowers eventually reaps the leg, drops, and goes for a trip or a sweep, and lands Venata right on the side of his broken ribs. Venata's in pain. Flowers finishes off with ground and pound. That's all she wrote. And Darius Flowers gets his first UFC win. I say this, I wasn't a fan of, not necessarily the showboating or celebrating, right? When Joshua Van celebrated his win against Pantoja, I didn't mind it. I got it, right? He got the win at the end of the day. He's going to make life-changing money, or in this case for Flowers, get a UFC win and get some money. Still, though, he misses weight. He then does a bit of showboating in front of Lando Venata, which I'm not a fan of doing that. Don't get me wrong. That part, if you showboat in front of a guy you just knocked out, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I understand there was a lot of trash talking. From my understanding, neither of these guys talk their shit a lot to each other anyway. And then Darius Flowers kind of went on a rant how other fans were criticizing him for his last 3 performances. I understand he fought at elevations, but dude, I do not care. I always say this, right? I'm not a fighter. I don't pretend to be one. And I don't try and call these guys bums. I don't try and disrespect them. And more importantly, I try not to act like I am, better than them, right? I'm not putting my life out on the line every few months or so fighting to support my family and make life-changing money with the possibility of taking some serious injuries. I'm not that person. I'm not going to call these people as bums. I'm not going to say they should be fighting for funnel cake in the county state fair. No, I'm never going to say this shit. Never. You'll never hear me utter these words. But at the same time, he's the one who decided to fight on short notice in elevation. He's the one who signed these contracts, right? It's his choice. And at the end of the day, he's the one who's performing, and he's the one who lost the 3 fights in a row before he got the win over Lando Venata. And this isn't just because I picked Lando Venata. I take the loss, right? Like, how am I supposed to predict he gets slammed, he hurts his rib, and then from there he can't continue? Dude, at the end of the day, that was smart by Darius Flowers. He found his opponent showed weakness, and he had capitalized on it. I can't complain. That was a great performance, even with the weakness. But again, I do not care. At the end of the day, circumstances are circumstances, and Darius Flowers, he made his bed. So though, at the end of the day, it's nice UFC win his first UFC win. Lando Venata, I think he should stay retired. I do not want to see him take months to recover from the rib injury, then come back, get hurt worse. I think Lando Venata retired years ago, and I think he should stay retired. And I say that more so for his health, not because I'm spiteful or anything. So though, for Darius Flowers, I mean, there's still some options. I think you can put in some fun fights. I mean, he showed better grappling, especially his bottom game jiu-jitsu, and he's still pretty good box. And he showed some good hands and whatnot. I still think he can be in fun fights. That's what I should say. Fun fights for Darius Flowers, particularly who you should fight at lightweight. I'm not particularly a name pops off the top of my head. I mean, maybe the loser of Rafa Garcia, Alexander Hernandez, but I feel like that might be too much of a jump in competition. Hell, they could give him Chase Hooper. That makes more sense to me. So yeah, Darius Flowers, Chase Hooper, something along those lines, or a Daniel Zellhuber. Moving up on the card, Alessandro Costa defeats Stuart Nickel via second round TKO. Boy, that liver shot from Alessandro Costa was poetry. First round, Costa just had the better moments on the feet. He was laying the better strikes. Stuart Nickel, most of Stuart Nickel's striking offense really just came down to the occasional calf kick and then spamming the spinning back fist. There would be times Nickel would throw a basic strike like a jab or a cross, but a lot of it he was just spamming that spinning back fist over and over again. And Costa was either out of the way or just blocking it. Never really landed clean, maybe once, but even then, you saw Costa shrug it off. But for Costa, he was more so adapting that pressure style like we had saw with Lahai and Douglas, how we see with Topuria and whatnot. Not of the same skill level maybe, but that close quarters pressure style boxing. And then when Stuart Nickel opened up, you see Costa immediately capitalize on it. And even when Stuart Nickel would try for the grappling, either Costa out-scrambled him or defended the takedowns. Eventually in round number two, the final few seconds of round number two, Costa fires off this, like I said, beautiful shot delivered. Nice, good technique, turns with the punch. Everything about that punch was perfect. And, Stuart Nickel, he got hit very clean. He could not continue. Dude just shells up, and then the ref waves it off. Absolutely beautiful work by Costa. And I mean, it shows, I think Costa is a good fighter. He just, you see the guys Costa's losing to, they're not bad fighters, right? Amir Albazi, Steve Ursay, Alden Correa. These are really good fighters. Two of them are in the top 15 or top 10, I should say. One of them looks like the prospect on the rise. Looks like a prospect on the rise. Costa's a very good fighter. He really is. It's just sometimes he just gets matched up with these killers, is what it is. Now, I don't know if Stuart Nickel's the best win on his resume, but he kind of fits into some of the mold that Costa beats, right? He beats Kevin Borjas. He beats Jimmy Flick. He beats Stuart Nickel. Not the most impressive wins, but they are impressive in the way he finishes these guys and still shows how dangerous he is. So who's next for Alessandro Costa? I mean, there's some options for him. I don't think, I think maybe the winner of Clayton Carpenter and Jose Ochoa. I would really like to see that fight because I think whoever wins that fight shows they're still a really good fighter and could have some potential on the rise. And usually fighters who have the potential to get a ranking usually have to fight Alessandro Costa. So I'd like that fight. The winner of Clayton Carpenter and Jose Ochoa. As for Stuart Nickel, I feel like he's in the same boat as Luis Garule. They're actually good fighters, but the flyweight division is just such a shark tank right now. If the UFC wants to be generous, they could give Stuart Nickel another chance. Sure, maybe. Well, I would say if Ray Saruya beats Jesus Aguilar, then the fight wouldn't make sense. But if Ray Saruya loses, Let me try it again. If Ray Saruga loses to Jesus Aguilar, then give him Stuart Nichols, or maybe he could fight Cody Durden. Still, though, absolutely beautiful finish. And hey, Alessandro Costa got the 100K bonus. Boot up on the card. Thomas Peterson defeated Guilherme Pat via majority decision. On first viewing, I was quite happy about this because I picked Peterson to win this fight. On second viewing, I can see why some people thought this should have been a draw. So it really just comes down to how do you score rounds 1 and 2? That's the big question, because round 3 was clearly Thomas Peterson's. He hurt Guilherme Pat badly. It looked like he was going to get him out of there, and then let me rephrase. Round 3 looked like Thomas Peterson was going to get Pat out of there. He had hurt him badly with a right hand, was about to take him down until Pat grabbed like the top of the fence. But even then, Thomas Peterson would not be denied. He kept hurting Pat repeatedly with the right hand, eventually got top position, and then from there landed thudding ground and pound at times. Eventually, either he was tired or he just didn't want to give Pat a chance to get up. Thomas Peterson just stayed in like top half guard to side control. And then from there, control the round. It was a clear 10-8. But rounds 1 and 2 before then, it was like, who do you really give it to? Because neither of these guys were throwing like amazing strikes, right? I think the most strikes that were thrown were by Guilherme Pat, but there weren't much. Like there were like 6 and 7 or so. Honestly, the most impactful strike was a jab, like a power jab, because you saw it hit Thomas Peterson and like immediately bloodied up his nose. Still, though, I thought Peterson won round 2 off of cage control. Like even though he couldn't get the takedown, he was smothering Pat against the fence, working some dirty boxing. I thought he won round 2. Round 1, I did give to Pat. He did land overall the better strikes and was still denying the takedowns from Thomas Peterson. But I'll say this. I've always said this. I've always thought Thomas Peterson was a guy who gets better and better with each fight. Now, again, he didn't look the most impressive to me, sure. Did he look like a top 15 ready guy? Absolutely not. But he's a guy who's improving fight by fight. Like I can tell you, this is a guy who looks definitely different from his loss from Jamal Pogues. The Thomas Peterson we see now, I think would definitely beat Jamal Pogues. And for Guilherme Pat, I mean, he's still 6. I mean, I'm not going to write him off immediately, right? He's now 6-1, but it's still 7 professional fights. And before, in his time in the LFA, he was just fighting tomato cans, really. And Thomas Peterson, not for nothing, I know Peterson is maybe not the highest level. He's still the best opponent Guilherme Pat has fought. That is for sure. So honestly, good. Honestly, good for Peterson to get back on the win column. Again, it's just one of those fighters who just trades wins and losses each time. Sorry, checking something. But for Thomas Peterson, who do they give him next? I don't want to see him fight another top 15 guy after getting a win, because that seems to be the pattern, right? Beats an unranked fighter, gets a top 15 guy. Unranked fighter, top 15. I really don't want to see that again. So for Thomas Peterson, maybe give him like a Denzel Freeman, like let him build a win streak at least, or something like that. As for Guilherme, or a Marcus Buchecha too. For Guilherme Pat, I say give him like Max Gimenez or something, which I do think a Guilherme Pat can beat Max Gimenez for sure. So that's what I think. Moving up to our main card opener. If you like this video so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on your thoughts on the card art and just overall what you thought of it. But with that said, let's get back to the post-fight show. Jose Delano defeats Robert Rucella via unanimous decision. I personally thought it was 29-27, but I could see a 30-26 for sure. So the commentating was a bit weird for me in this fight, because I know Jose Delano had a lot of hype coming into this fight, because he had one of the best performances on the Contender Series last year. And I don't know, maybe it's because he wasn't dominating the fight from round 1 to round 3, but I thought Jose Delano still looked very good in this fight. Now, round 1, I gave it to Robert Rucella. He was simply the bit busier striker. The overall had the better moments on the feet. Neither one of them went for too many takedowns. Like, I think Jose Delano went for more takedowns than Rucella, but Rucella defended most of the takedowns. So though, in round 1, it looked like it took some time for Jose Delano to heat up, I guess is one way you can say it, or downloading data. But then rounds 2 and 3, his volume started to pick up. By round 2 and 3, he had basically fired over 100 strikes. Jose Delano, he was starting to show more slickness, like we saw, better striking moments. He bloodied up the nose of Ruchala. Jose Delano in rounds 2 and 3 was looking like the Jose Delano that we saw on Contender Series. And so I guess for me, it's just like the commentary really confused me. It's like, I didn't think he'd look bad. Sure, he lost round 1, but there are plenty of great fighters who lose a round and still win the other 2 and look great while doing it. So I guess it's just like the hype might have clouded the judgment, right? But still, at the end of the day, Jose Delano beat a good fighter in Robert Ruchala, looked slick in rounds 2 and 3. Ruchala just seemingly couldn't do anything afterwards. And hell, he had to like grab the fence with both hands just to stay upright. And I'm glad Keith Peterson took a point off that. Excuse me. And like I said, I'm glad Keith Peterson took a point from that. I'm very glad. I wish the same was given to Ignacio Bahamondes, but neither here nor there. So though, Jose Delano got a win, and I think he's good. I think he's really good in this featherweight division. Obviously, I think he still needs some seasoning, still fight some unranked guys, but do I think Jose Delano will fight an unranked fighter one day? Absolutely. I just don't know who. But for right now, I'd say maybe a fight with, Luis Chieta or Dan Ige. Like, I think Delano is skilled enough to take on that level of competition. For Robert Ruchala, this is a tough loss, right? 2-0-2 in the UFC. But, Gomes as or William Gomes in your debut is no easy task. And now taking on Jose Delano, I mean, he was given no favors in this one. So I think, you give Robert Ruchala one more chance, and I think he could beat some guys, don't get me wrong. It'd be funny if they give him like Tommy McMillan, because I think he would actually do well in that fight. But again, there's still plenty of options in featherweight. They could even give him Muhammad Naimov for sure. So though, good win by Robert Ruchala. Moving up on the card, Tommy McMillan beat Milano Cecchini via first round TKO. This wound up being fight of the night. I know a lot of people were not really happy about this fight. I don't know why. I guess it's like, you're in the UFC, you want to see high level fights. Like, obviously, you want to see barn burners, sure. But you want to see some high level fights. This wasn't, I would say, a high level fight. This was more like a bar fight or street beats fight, but with a bigger stage and somewhat better technique. That's the best way I can describe it, right? I mean, because McMillan and Cecchini went after each other basically from the word go. And Tommy McMillan, he was simply the tougher fighter, had the better technique. I thought he landed the better shots. Cecchini, I give credit, he tried, right? Cecchini didn't give up on himself. He tried to brawl it out. He tried to knock out McMillan. You could see Cecchini was in there to win. But it was simply just too much. McMillan swarmed him. There was like one moment both traded knees, and McMillan's knee hit Cecchini in the cup, and that gave Cecchini a break. But even then, you saw I think it was his right eyebrow. You saw it swole immediately. Kind of looked like he got bit by a bug. And then the finishing sequence, McMillan has Cecchini to the fence and starts unloading with punches. Cecchini tries to fire back, but he's just simply getting swarmed. McMillan fires off a knee to the solar plexus, and then from there it's over. Cecchini crumbles, and McMillan wins. It was a fun, chaotic brawl for as long as it lasted. I mean, both got the 100K, so that tells you how fun it was. I will tell you this. Tommy McMillan is a fun fighter. He's going to be a fan-friendly fighter for sure. Will he be a top 15 featherweight the way he is now? Absolutely not. I think he relies on just overwhelming his opposition. His head movement is not particularly great. And while his technique and power are serviceable for these types of opponents, dude, he fights like a Nathaniel Wood, a Morgan Charrier, any one of these like higher level operators. He's gonna lose. He's not gonna be undefeated during his time in the UFC. I guarantee you that. But was I entertained? Absolutely. And I think McMillan is one of those guys who's gonna be in the UFC's good graces, right? He trains with Sean O'Malley. He might get that Dana White privilege rub. So for now, I think I can see it now. They're gonna give Tommy McMillan some cans and win very, very winnable fights for him. That's how I see it going, honestly. Yeah, they're going to give McMillan some similar fights as Zacchini. Guys he's supposed to be and be a big favorite towards, kind of like what they did for O'Malley as well. So who exactly do they give Tommy McMillan in that featherweight? I mean, there's some options for him, right? There's some featherweights I think he can beat, right? I don't know. Could he beat Robert Rucella? Maybe. That's not a guarantee, though. I mean, if Ricardo Ramos was still in the UFC, I think that'd be a very, very winnable fight for McMillan as well. Yep, screw it. Give him Julian Erosa. That'll be a fun fight. Both guys will be coming in there to bang. That's for sure. I think both guys will make it a scrap for sure. Or maybe even Khan Offley or Genghis Khan. As for Cicchini, I don't think the UFC should cut him, actually. I think, give him one more chance. He fought his heart out for sure. And it was still a fun fight nonetheless. He could put on some fun fights. But at the same time, they might feed him someone like a Bogdan. They could give him like a Michael Aswell, a Bogdan Grad, something like that. Or they feed him another prospect they're trying to build up in Luke Riley or something. And so, though, good win from McMillan. Crazy to think he was supposed to fight Austin Bashi, who I think would have done terrible things to him, to be honest. Moving up on the card. Ethan Ewing defeats Rafael Estevan via third round TKO due to a left hook to the liver. Holy shit, dude. Ethan Ewing, he's got the goods. I am baffled he didn't get a performance bonus. Like, what the fuck? I guess it's like this, hey man, the UFC increased the bonuses, sure, and you get 25K a finish, but damn are they stingy on these 100K bonuses now. They are so damn stingy. How does a guy who put on a complete shutout, it was a flawless performance in my opinion. Yeah, he got touched up here and there in round one, but I thought Ethan Ewing put on pretty much a shutout. How does he perform a shutout on a 14-0 fighter who missed weight, by the way, absolutely beat him belt to ass, and not get 100K from it? It's stupid to me. It is so damn stupid to me. But I'll get off my soapbox and actually talk about the performance, dude. I'll talk about the performance. Ethan Ewing, he is a talent to watch right now at bantamweight. He is so damn good. I said in my breakdown, Ethan Ewing, he does the right things at the right time, which is a talent you'd be surprised how many fighters have, right? What do I mean by that? It means he's making adjustments mid-fight and firing off the right techniques at the exact right moment. For example, at times Ethan Ewing would kind of post whenever Esteban would go to guard. You could see Ethan Ewing grabbing the forearms, posting, fire off an elbow. Esteban is throwing either some straight punches and uppercut. Ethan Ewing is using slick head movement and then firing off a combination. He's just doing defensively the right movements and the right defense, and then offensively the right technique, the right position. He just does everything right. There's absolutely nothing wrong with his performance whatsoever. When it came to the wrestling, and Ethan Ewing defended all of Esteban's takedowns, and Esteban's a good wrestler and grappler, right? He is persistent. He's at least taken down all of his opponents at least once, including Charles Johnson. Ethan Ewing shut him down repeatedly, whether it was fighting the hands, staying balanced, and even then, Ethan Ewing corners, like, you could hear him in the Apex. You could hear him when Ewing was fighting in MSG. His corner is so good, so loud too, and they just know their fighter. And someone had put up a post about Ethan Ewing that I agree with, right? You look at Ethan Ewing's record, he's 10-2 now. His two losses were his first two pro fights. And someone put up a good thing. It really shows how mentally tough a fighter is, coming back from the first two losses of your career, and then go from there and never lose again, or at least for now, right now, has not lost since. I mean, it's similar it's similar to fighters, right? Jack Della Maddalena, he lost his two fights, continued on. Merab Dvalishvili lost his two fights, continued on. Hell, he lost his first two UFC fights and continued on. Dude, Ethan Ewing, he is so good. I am not going to be shocked when he fights, when he gets into the rankings. I will not be shocked. He is that good that soon. I mean, he beat two undefeated fighters to start his UFC debut. Who does that? I mean, you can say Christian Rodriguez has defeated undefeated fighters before, right? I mean, yeah, sure. But I feel like Malcolm Wellmaker and Esteban Ribovic are better talents than, say, Cameron Simon and Raul Rosas Jr., even though Rosas is ranked. I still think Wellmaker and Esteban are better fighters than those two. Dude, I mean, I cannot sing Ethan Ewing's praises enough. He is so damn slick. He is so damn good. It was truly a shutout performance and easily my favorite performance of the whole card. Easily what I'm going to remember the most from this card. He's that good. I can tell you this right now, a brutal commentary prediction. He will be fighting a top 5 opponent one day. Will he fight for gold? I don't like saying that right away. I like to wait and see how they do against ranked opposition. But I'm not going to be surprised if he fights for a top 5 opponent one day. I will not be shocked. I think he's that good. Who does he fight right now? I say, fuck it. Feed him Cody Garbrandt. Why not? Give him a much well-known name. Let him build off that. Then give him a top 15. I know he wants to fight like Alessandro Topuria. Dude, Ethan Ewing wants all the smoke. Credit to him. And the performance like that, he can talk all the shit he wants. But I prefer those two to fight like when they're ranked contenders on a fight night main event. Something like that. Don't let your prospects fight each other so soon. So save a fight with Payne Talbot for like the future or something like that. But for now, give him like Jonathan Martinez. Give him Davey Grant. Give him Cody Garbrandt. Give him one of these well-known names at bantamweight. And if he beats those guys the way he beat Esteban, give him top 15. Let's not waste time. That's how I feel. He's that good. Moving up on the card. Abdul Rahman Yakhvayev defeats Brenison Ribeiro via first round submission via rear naked choke. I know people were losing their minds because Abdul got hit by like 2 shots from Ribeiro before going for the takedown. I guess when you're minus 1,600, you're expected to be untouchable and, not get hit. But, it's fighting. That's not how this works. And while, don't get me wrong, I gave Ribeiro a puncher's chance. I thought, 16-1 is stupid. But at the end of the day, Abdul kind of had his way with him when he got the takedown. I mean, the most resistance Ribeiro gave Abdul when he got taken down was going for the Kimura from bottom. And, you would shun most fighters from doing that. But given Ribeiro actually was able to get a Kimura from bottom and reverse position, I understand why he did it. And at least he tried, right? But at the end of the day, Abdul, when it came to the ground, was better with his wrestling, better with his control. Eventually, he's able to not scramble, but flow into the back position, cinch up the rear naked choke, and then from there, it's all wraps. I mean, Ribeiro tried, right? He tried, and he landed 2 good shots, but that's it. At the end of the day, Abdul finished him round 1 like he was supposed to. And I know people, and I know, and I know people are going like, well, he got touched up and he was a 16-1. Again, I don't care how big of a favorite he is. In fact, I don't think anybody should be that big of a favorite because it's a fight at the end of the day. And especially at light heavyweight where one wrong move can get you knocked out, there's always a risk. So, at the end of the day, I think Abdul Rahman Yakhvayev, he's a good prospect. I mean, he's still young at 25. He's still got plenty of time. And he ran through Rafael Sequeira. He more or less ran through Brenson Ribeiro. I don't think, jump up the competition crazy. Like, if he fights a Jimmy Cruz or a Dustin Jacoby or, hell, even an Ion Cutelaba, I think that's maybe a bit too big of a step up. Just because while I think he's talented enough to beat those guys, I think it'd be too much too soon. So I'd say they could feed him Julius Walker. It would suck, but that might make more sense. So I think Abdul versus Julius Walker makes sense. As for Brenison Ribeiro, tough loss. But, they keep feeding him these really tough opponents. Like, he took Azamat Murzakanov on short notice. He took on Umar Sy, who at the time seemed like a prospect to watch. And now this undefeated man from Turkey. Yeah, no, this was just a little too much for Ribeiro. I think give him one more shot. Maybe Rafael Tobias. Give him something like that. I think that might make sense. Moving up to our co-main event. Verna Jandiroba dominates Tabitha Ritchie for 2 rounds. Had some adversity in the 3rd round, but at the end of the day, Verna won via unanimous decision. A clear 29-28. Dude, it is amazing, right? I've done tape study on Verna before, And it is insane to me how she does at the exact same thing to every single one of her opponents, and they seemingly can't do shit. I mean, Richie, good scrambler, constantly fighting for position, constantly fought to get up, and she just could not do a thing. When Verna Jandiroba gets on top, she is a nightmare. No matter how good of a grappler you are, like Lupita Godinez is a good wrestler. Amanda Lemos, she has some good grappling to her. Tabitha Ritchie, I think, is a good grappler. They just can't do nothing. They can't do nothing. Even the champion, Mackenzie Dern, who is a world-renowned grappler, got taken down majority of the time and was on bottom position majority of the time. It's just Mackenzie Dern is Verna's kryptonite. That's just it. It's just she has her number. Because unless you're as good of a grappler, right, you can threaten from bottom position. You can be active from the bottom like Mackenzie Dern. You don't beat Verna Jandiroba. It just seemingly doesn't happen. And like I said, during the whole fight, I am scratching my head going, how is it that Verna Jandiroba keeps getting the exact same takedowns and Tabitha Ritchie cannot do a damn thing about it, right? It's not like she does a different variety of takedowns all the time. Literally, it's Verna sliding to a double leg, getting the knee tap, getting an overhook, and then tripping her opponent down. And then from there, working to half guard and full mount. Literally, she's doing the exact same thing every single time. And Tabitha Ritchie cannot do a thing about it. It is insane how good Verna is. It's insane, even at 37. And, well, I will say Tabitha Ritchie did better in round 3, right? She had a lot better moments on the feet. She was defending takedowns better. But even then, she ended round 3 with Verna on her back. It's just Verna, you cannot stop the grappling. Like most of these strawweights cannot stop it. Like Verna is simply too strong. She's too smart positionally. And her jiu-jitsu is just of a higher level just due to years and years of experience. And, at the end of the day, I mean, what do you do with Verna? Because she's fought, damn near everybody in the top 15. You look at it, Verna has beaten Yan Xiaonai, Lupita Godinez, now Tabitha Ritchie, Amanda Lamos. The only people she has, she fought the champion twice. The only people who Verna has not fought is Tatiana Suarez, who's fighting Lupita Godinez, Zhang Wei Li, who I'm assuming is going to come back to fight Mackenzie Dern, and Gillian Robinson, who's now top 5. I could see why people might suggest a Mackenzie Dern trilogy only if Zhang Wei Li isn't come back, but it makes no sense because Dern's beat her twice. We are now in the, I guess, how would you call this? I guess for Verna, it's like we're in the stage where it's like Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker situation. Obviously a different skill level, but you have the champion Mackenzie Dern, who has beaten the boogie woman, Verna Jandiroba, twice, just simply has her number, but Verna's beating everybody else, it seems. So I guess who Verna should fight next? I'd say, okay, if Tatiana Suarez beats Lupita Godinez, I think Suarez will get the next title shot if Zhang Wei Li isn't coming back yet. It's tough, dude. It's really tough to matchmake for Verna. Like, she's fought everybody. But I guess the fight that makes the most sense would be a Gillian Robinson, right? If Gillian Robinson versus Verna Jandiroba, #1 contender. Because I think if Suarez beats Lupita Godinez, I think they're going to give Suarez the title shot. Again, if Zhang Wei Li doesn't come back. As for Tabitha Ritchie, it sucks. Like, this was her chance, her second opportunity to get into the top 15. She tried it once with Yan Xiaonai, lost that fight, and now lost to Verna. I guess she's going to have to defend her ranking. And could they give Tabitha Ritchie Fatima Klein? I think that might be a bit too soon. I could think maybe Ritchie versus Jessica Andrade might be the fight to make because she's already beaten Hebos, and even if Lupita Godinez loses, Godinez has a win over Ritchie. So I guess you give her the Andrade fight. So, though, not the most entertaining fight, not by a long shot, but at the end of the day, dominance by Verna Jandiroba for the most part. Moving up to our main event. Boy, I was wrong. Renato Moicano was right on the money, motherfuckers, when he submitted Chris Duncan in round number 2. This was a complete shutout, start to finish, by Renato Moicano. Oh, and I guess it really puts into perspective of 2 things. 1, how good is Beneil Dariush? 2, you really, like I think like Moicano at times is severely underrated. There's a reason he's like number 10 in the world and why he has a lot of good wins on his name. Like he's the last guy to beat Benoit Saint-Denis, who's top 5 now. For Renato, he was so much better on the feet, technically speaking. His jab was on point. He was busting up the nose with Chris Duncan. He's one of the few fighters I actually see check leg kicks, which is surprising how rare it is at times, but you see it. Renato is so good at checking those. Now, granted, Chris Duncan didn't really set up his calf kicks or leg kicks too much, but still, though, it doesn't change the fact Moicano checked them every single time and did it beautifully. Kept busting up the nose of Chris Duncan, landed the more technical strikes. Chris Duncan, everything he threw at Renato Moicano either got blocked or Moicano dodged out of the way. There was not much sustained impact by any of Chris Duncan's shots. I think he landed one big right hand when both were brawling in round number 2, but that's it. If you give Chris Duncan any flowers, it would be that he defended all the takedowns from Renato Moicano, which in of itself is an impressive feat, I suppose, but doesn't change much. In round 2, when both of them exchange, both of them fire off the left hand. Moicano hits first because he has the sharper punch. Both trade the right hands. Chris Duncan hits first. But then Chris Duncan, he retracts his rear hand, or I guess his right hand back, and he doesn't put it back to his head. And Renato fires off a left hook that on the replay, you see it. It's outside of Chris Duncan's peripheral vision. So Duncan basically gets hit with a punch he doesn't see coming, gets staggered. He goes for a desperate takedown. Renato sprawls and then it snaps him down, gets his back, and then you don't want Renato Moicano on your back. And as he's working to get the rear naked choke, you see blood leaking from Chris Duncan's nose badly. And then I didn't notice this until like some other analyst put it up, or mentioned it, but for some reason Chris Duncan's corner called for a surprise elbow, and so Chris Duncan with Moicano on his back hits him with an elbow, but you're not going to get any sort of rotation or generate any power whatsoever from that position. So all it did was give Moicano a chance to cinch up the rear naked choke better. And then from there, I mean, granted, it wasn't really a rear naked choke. It was more of a face crank because you see the arm wrapped around the chin, not under the chin. So, though, Moicano has a hell of a squeeze. Chris Duncan taps. Absolutely flawless performance by Renato Moicano. Absolutely. It was kind of a flawless victory, too. He made it look easy against a guy who was streaking in Chris Duncan. And then, obviously, you gotta love Renato Moicano post-fight interviews. You just gotta love him, right? He goes on how the only person to save Brazil is, the Lord and Savior Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and some more rants. And who does Renato Moicano fight next? We gotta give him easy money in the top 10. Bullshit opponents. Or he retires. He makes apparently good money off his YouTube channel. So for Renato Moicano, who does he fight next? I would love to see him fight Paddy Pimblett so badly. I want to see that fight on International Fight Week. But if he doesn't get the Pimblett fight, they could give him Dan Hooker as well. That makes the most sense to me for Money Moicano. It's either, you got to give him either Paddy Pimblett or Dan Hooker. Those are the only 2 fights I think make sense. The trash talk, the press conferences, they would be such a treat to watch. As for Chris Duncan, this is such a disheartening loss. Not even the fact that he lost to Money Moicano, he lost to a top 15 guy, top 10 fighter. No shame in that. But how he lost. He had no real moments whatsoever in this fight, which is a shame. But for Chris Duncan, I guess he's just more so going to be a reliable action fighter. So who would they give him next? They could give him Ellis Brenner. That'd be a really fun fight. If Grant Dawson beats Mateusz Rebecki, I guess they could give him that. Or give him a Ludovic Klein. There's some options for Chris Duncan. Don't get me wrong. But with that said, that has been my post-fight show for UFC Fight Night 272. Overall, I thought it was a very fun card. Absolutely fantastic finishes, some great fights. Once again, I ended the card with 8 correct and 5 wrong. Is what it is. I think I'll do much better with the Miami card coming up next week. But with that said, that has been my post-fight show. If you enjoyed this video, like I say, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, Stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.